What's up, War Report family? I am your host, C Dub. With the transfer portal season coming to an end, we asked you guys which was the biggest pickups of the transfer portal season in its off season. All the guys are here to weigh in to give their thoughts. We definitely want to hear from you as we discuss this as well as other topics surrounding Auburn athletics in today's edition of the Weekend Tailgate.
This is the Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by Golden Cast Iron. C-Dub, I Joe, Be Will, by G. You are now listening to.
Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the latest edition of the Weekend Tailgate. All of us are here. This show is brought to you, of course, by our latest and newest show sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron. With them, you can work out, grill out, ultimately chill out. Shout out to them for supporting us, being our most recent sponsor. Thank you, guys. Also, we want to thank you all for hanging out with us. Do us a favor. We'll be even more thankful if you share this video on social media, Facebook, Twitter. Use the hashtag, even add us so that we know you shared it. Smash that like button. Help us with the YouTube algorithm and subscribe if you're new to our channel. We got some dope film review stuff on our latest portal pickups. Ike's bringing it all down. How can they get that, sir?
You got to join. Come on board. Green Name Gang, y'all know what's up, man. We're out here doing basketball and football this off season. Listen, there are no more big sporting events happening. So we're going to lock into this film and get prepared for the upcoming football season, basketball season. Make sure that you're a member so that you can be there for those videos. If you are a member and you want to gift a membership, go ahead and do that from the live chat. We appreciate all the gifting that's been happening recently. Always, we're giving away stuff. Hashtag get your weight up in the live chat to be able to enter this. Those of you who are over on Facebook, you got to be on YouTube because we'll be doing the drawing on YouTube. So make sure that you lock in with us over here on YouTube. At the hour mark is when we normally do that giveaway, and we will gladly be giving this shirt or excuse me, this mug away to somebody.
Gentlemen, how are we?
Good.
Okay. So it took you a minute.
Yeah,
all I wanted to say.
good. Yeah.
Wait, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, it was good. We're good.
Okay.
I'm ready to jump into this topic.
Well, before you jump
right.
into that topic, we gotta talk about some things that we don't want to talk about.
No, we don't. No, we don't. We don't see.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. We actually do. We actually do. We got to weigh in on Auburn baseball. The season ended yesterday. Auburn was able to host a regional.
Yeah.
They're done hosting.
Yeah.
Well, they're done being
Well, I'm about to say
involved in the host. They're still hosting, but they're not playing in it.
They still letting the door open and letting people into the building, but they
you
ain't
can
really
come in my house
participating in the party.
Eat my food and sit on my couch. You can even put your feet on my couch. F my couch.
Tough.
You know,
It hurts. It hurts.
Mike, you've been covering it, sir. Feel free to weigh in.
Listen, this was kind of like the tale of two teams.
Yeah.
The bats went cold. Weirdly, their bats have been hot as any team in America, and for them to kind of go cold when they did, it was disappointing. I mean, and let's be clear, while they were hot, they beat some of the best teams in the country.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was not as if it was unreasonable to expect some carryover into, some teams who, if you made the tournament, obviously you were amongst the best in the country. But I mean, we were playing top 10 teams and they were on fire against LSU and Mississippi State and just, banging balls out of the park, man. Like, the Eagle was flying. I knew. I heard it when I was saying it.
Yeah.
The Eagles flying from center field. Fans were excited. It was an electric atmosphere, and fans really showed up for Penn. I was really proud of the fan turnout for Penn, but it didn't work out. And this team, if you asked me, still overachieved based on the talent they lost and the talent that they gained. And I think they have a really good base for next year to come in. They've got to clean up a lot of the fielding errors. Obviously pitching was a concern early in the season, ultimately, but when you looked at that game that they lost to Penn, there was one play, and it's so weird. It's hard to look back. You know how we say during sports, you don't look back at what's no one thing, right, that did you in. In baseball, it's really hard not to do that because of the way the game is played. There was one play that watching it like there from the press box, I was like, what is he doing? Where it wasn't really a wild pitch, but it was a pitch that kind of got behind LaRue. And it was almost as if he thought it was kind of like a dead ball kind of situation. And the runner advanced to second. And I was sitting next to Brian Matthews, and we're like, what is he doing? Like, get up, throw the ball. And the runner was like, wait, is he really just going to act like I can't just take second base? And then the very next play, it was a hit, and he came home because he was in scoring position, and he would not have been able to score from first base. Auburn, seemingly, if things had played out the way they did after that, could have saved that run, and that game would have ended in regulation 3-2. So it was kind of frustrating when we got to the ninth inning and they kind of made a comeback, and I was just thinking to myself, I was like, man, this is a tie game, right? Like, but it shouldn't be. And they were getting out hit badly.
Yeah. Yeah, the bats were just non-existent this week.
Yeah,
I don't even know what happened with that.
I don't remember the numbers from the Penn game. I just remember looking at it being like 12 hits to 4 or something.
Yep.
By the time we got to the ninth inning, and I was just thinking, it's a miracle they're in this game. But Penn walked home 2 runs. And, you know, you might think those are unforced errors by Penn, but to me, I thought that those were really patient at bats.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it was McMurray was one, and I think LaRue also just went to the plate, and they didn't rush, and they let them kind of do themselves in with the bases loaded. But twice they had the bases loaded, and they failed to score in a significant amount of runs while they had the bases loaded. And a lot of runners were left stranded. They'll look back on it and they'll see a lot of missed opportunities. But the positive, I think, is, again, for a team that, you know, 3 weeks ago, nobody was talking about them having a chance to host. I mean, they were wondering whether they were going to make the tournament or not. And they played their way into it. I think they have a really solid base for next year. Some young talent. Chris Stanfield is going to be a really good player for Auburn baseball. Ike Irish is a freak. He is an absolute freak, and he's got time to develop. Cooper McMurray was just knocking balls out of the park.
Yeah,
crazy. Cole Foster, probably hit the longest home run I've ever seen in college baseball. They have a base for this team that I think has a chance to do something special. They just need to make sure they secure the coach and that he comes back for another year. And then they need to continue to develop pitching. But it was an honor. It was really fun covering Auburn baseball this season. I know that in the future there will be many more exciting moments to come from that program as long as Butch Thompson is the coach.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, Mike. I think Butch Thompson has created generated a lot of excitement around Auburn baseball, despite how this season ended. For B. Will to even be disappointed like he is about Auburn baseball tells a lot about what Thompson has done for baseball, because seasons have come and gone and we were none the wiser. So for us to even be feeling this way is a testament to what he's done with the program. So I hope our university does what they need to do to keep him, and that he's able to continue to build on his success for the future.
Absolutely.
B. Will still doesn't want to talk about it. All right, so I'll move on. All right.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for going.
Mike, I didn't know if you had anything.
Listen, I'm proud of those young men. To see the single season home run record get set this year from a guy who could have left, right? Because he was essentially a defensive kind of replacement hitter, last year. He wasn't getting starting reps a lot. That says a lot for, just kind of the connectivity of this team. The addition of Cooper McMurray from the portal this past offseason was amazing. You already talked about Stanfield and Ike Irish. Hopefully whatever happened with the softball team is not going to get repeated this offseason with the baseball team, because those are young, both defensive and at bat guys who have a ton of. Ike Irish is already hitting like a pro, but I still feel like he can grow in his ability to hit. And if Stanfield can get more consistent with his ability to get on base, how dangerous he is with being able to be on base as a runner is going to be amazing. Cleaning up a little bit of his, he tries, to do the wizardry stuff a little too much. He takes chances sometimes in the outfield because he has all that speed, but he still, as a freshman SEC guy coming in and playing well, he's got room to grow. A lot of excitement, but the pitching is really the story of this.
Yeah.
The pitching was way too inconsistent. I mean, we pitched a guy who had given up 3 home runs all year. And he gave up 3 home runs yesterday, right? Like, it was just, for a team to go from one of the hottest in the country to absolutely getting smacked in the elimination game yesterday was that was a little disappointing, to say the least. But a lot of base runners left on, right? Like, they just stranded a lot of base runners yesterday that were in scoring position. But overall, man, the season, I admire the fight that they showed after essentially a lot of people giving up on the entire season for them. Like,
I'm telling you, and Butch taking heat.
All season taking heat. I mean,
Butch taking heat.
I saw this one guy. He's tweeting all over the place about how he feels like Butch Thompson is the Gus Malzahn of baseball, and I'm just like, yo, y'all gotta relax, bro. Like, just like Butch Thompson's a quality manager. I just think that listen, he just didn't have the guns necessary, man. When you don't have, I don't know that we had a guy who you could consider an ace, right? Like, being the best pitcher on this pitching staff is different than being an ace.
Right.
What's the dude's name? Skeens for LSU. Right.
Yeah.
That's an ace. That's a guy you can throw on any pitching staff in the country, and he's going to be the best, if not one of the best, if not the best pitcher on that staff.
Yeah.
Name that guy for Auburn baseball this year who you can say, I don't care where he is on any staff around college baseball, he's the best pitcher or in contention for the best. We didn't have, now LSU only has the one, right? But like, we have a bunch of guys who probably should be,
Was Gonzalez that guy?
Gonzalez probably was going to be the ace this season for Auburn. Like, let's be clear. We had some guys that went down to injury that would have been good to put in that full rotation, which would have then bolstered what we had in the bullpen. And you don't get a lot of the mistakes that you end up getting, and you don't have to pitch, some guys who really should be like closers for you or middle relievers as starters, right?
Yeah.
So there's holes in the team for sure, but valiant effort for those guys to even make the postseason, get to the point where you can host. I think I felt like they overachieved the minute that they got to hosting. Right. I felt like the ceiling of this team was super regional regardless. Like, if we had made it out of this regional, I don't think that we would have made it out of the supers. But I had just wished they had won at least one of them, though. Like, to get, the double DQ out the gate is a little disappointing. But yeah, facts for them being a team that has a lot to look forward to. Hopefully we can keep that nucleus together and build around them for next season.
Yeah. It's the whole Gus Malzahn of baseball. I mean, I don't think there is a more off analogy for Auburn baseball. I mean, you're out here making tournaments, right? And making it to the College World Series.
Top 10 talent, right? But it's from the numbers. You can't say that for Auburn baseball. Like, they were getting talent that no other team in the country. Like, the expectations based upon the talent versus the results is way different, bro. Like,
yeah, I mean, for him to make a comparison, it would almost Auburn would have to be in the running for the college football playoff at the end of every year,
right,
and then not making it. Right, they had one shot at it in 7 years under Gus in 2017, and then they didn't make it. Right, there were not consistent opportunities to make the playoff under Gus. And Butch Thompson,
he's much closer. Well, I think he's the best coach at Auburn right now, but he's much closer to what you would think of a Bruce Pearl than you would a Gus.
Correct.
Malzahn.
Yeah, facts. But you said, like, based on the amount of times he's made, like what he's doing and how close he's gotten, I would have to give Butch the edge.
Yeah.
Right, over any coach on campus currently. So yeah, it's I don't know, man. again, this is going to sound mean, and I know people are going to accuse us of Malzahn bashing. Oh, you talking about he was an Auburn guy? Listen, man. I mean, he was the king of underachievement, if you ask me. And I don't think that's what Butch is, right?
No,
I don't think he's underachieving. He overachieved this season, but like I articulated.
right.
This was an overachievement season, and the fact that we're even sitting here talking about it, right, and not talking, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I guess this would be the equivalent of them losing a bowl game in football, I guess.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
bowl
just-
game that your favorite. Maybe if once we get to 12-team playoff, right?
Mhm.
If you get in there, maybe it's not a great seed. Maybe you're the 10 seed playing the 6 seed, or however that's going to go when the bottom 8 play, and you're favored to win it, but you lose it.
Yeah, but just
Something
last
like
year, they made the Sweet 16 of college baseball.
Right.
Just last year. You know, we were sitting here having a conversation when everyone was counting them out. There's no way they're going to go out to Corvallis and win.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they even tried to book up all the hotel rooms from us. Didn't work. Still went out there and waxed. And so I don't know, man. I don't know how you're looking at what Butch Thompson has achieved as coach and saying that, you know, he's definitely not underachieving. And I think when you make a comparison like that, that's essentially what you're saying.
Yeah.
But you got to look at it in perspective. You know, he's not pulling in the equivalent of what we were pulling in football classes. That's not.
And there's a lot of reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with Butch Thompson, why that is for baseball. Let's be clear. Like, you have to understand how baseball recruiting works for him to
the scholarships too.
Yeah. For him to be able to work with what he has and achieve the results that he has, man, that dude's a wizard, bro. Like, what are we doing? Like, and again, that's not to say he's perfect. He definitely makes some errors sometimes. Like, I feel like he could have challenged a couple of plays in a couple of games or that were, you know, this was clearly an out, that was clearly a foul ball, this was clearly, you know, this person was clearly safe type of thing, and he didn't make the challenges. But he or, you know, not pulling a pitcher. But again, no manager's perfect, right? So I can tell you there are things that he needs to improve on. He'll probably acknowledge that. If we get a chance to talk to Butch, I'm sure if he did a retrospective on this season, he could say, these are the things I wish I had done better as a manager for this baseball team.
100%.
But name somebody who, like,
the decisions he made, the good decisions will far outweigh anything.
Right. I'm saying, like, listen, man, we can sit here and nitpick Nick Saban to death. It's universally recognized he's the best college football coach ever.
Right? Yeah.
Is he perfect? Absolutely not. Well, B will. Okay, I know you don't.
No, that's all. I'm just playing. I don't want
Okay,
to go into that today. I want to go into that. I want to go into.
I'm just saying though, like, but you can
Thank you,
nitpick
Will.
decisions that he's made over his career over a single season. We could do the same thing with, I don't know, Coach Calipari. It's Coach Calipari. We can nitpick him to death. Well, he's not.
Now you can nitpick him, B.
He hadn't won enough.
Krzyzewski. Let's go Krzyzewski. Right.
Yeah.
So,
You could nitpick.
yeah. Right. So
maybe
like,
not well, but yeah, I'm with you.
yeah, I'm saying, but he's not perfect, is my point.
Right. No coach
Right.
is perfect.
There's not a coach who is universally or overwhelmingly thought of as the best to ever do it in that profession, who you couldn't look at and say, but they made a bonehead decision right here. This decision right here wasn't great. This decision right here wasn't great. Right. It just happens. You're not going to be perfect. So I don't like the nitpicking of coaches type of thing to say he's not it or we need to move on from him. I think it's premature. I think it's ridiculous in the stance of Butch Thompson. No, but it's definitely premature in a lot of other conversations that people have. So anyway,
We'll grab some comments based on this, and we'll move on. AU Alum says somebody killing these intros.
Hey, yeah, we killed all the intros, baby. Yes, that was Mike G
I
on the
point at
video.
B. Right there.
Right there.
yeah. So music happens here. Music happens here. Video happens here.
Yeah.
Right. So music, video,
For sure.
and
Yeah,
voiceover.
We be in the lab. We be in the lab. B.
We do be.
AU Alum comes back and says it hurt Mike. Penn hadn't won a tourney game since 1990. Yeah,
listen, props
Yeah.
to Penn though. The
Yeah, give him
pitcher
credit.
for Penn was absolutely on. Like, their starting
Killing it.
pitcher was like, he was dealing Friday night. Like, I can't take anything away from that. I felt like we got out pitched in that game just because he was marvelous. But Saturday, we just absolutely fell apart. Like the 3-run homer in the first inning, I was just like, what? Are we serious right now? And then to give up 2 other solo shots later on in the game, I was just like, yo, come on, man. This is nuts.
Yeah.
Sure. For sure. John Brandon says you don't lose a coach like Tim Hudson without dropping.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
I was going to bring up the Tim Hudson thing. I mean,
Shout out to John, by the way.
And an alum, and just, a great major league pitcher. And he had so much to give the kids that were under his tutelage.
Yeah.
And so obviously I think that's a position maybe they look at and say, hey, can we improve here? Or how can we get our pitchers the best coaching they can get? Because, at the end of the game, it just felt like once the starter went out for Auburn, it was like, we're about to go on a ride. Right, we're about to go on a ride with pitching, and anything can happen in these last, 3 or 4 innings. So, one of the things that I do when I'm watching, and shout out to B-Mac from Mike Mac and Memes, after Brandy got me into building baseball parlays, you start to watch pitch count quite a bit.
Yeah,
because when your guy needs 7 strikeouts, right, for you to hit your metric. But then it's like the 4th inning and he's thrown 80 pitches. And you're like,
he ain't gonna make it.
Right. You're like, you start to get a gauge for
I think that was the other thing that our team didn't do well in this game yesterday against Southern Miss is they weren't patient they weren't making that guy work the pitch count, right? Like they were swinging early in at bat. It's like you make his arm get tired, right? If he's pitching well, he's just pitching well. I'm not saying you got to look at everything that looks, but like make him throw you a couple. Make him throw you 1 or 2 of them.
I mentioned they still had some very patient at bats where, I mean, to the point where,
but it was much later in the game. Like the first 4 innings, they were swinging at everything, bro. I was just like, yo, what are we doing, man? Like,
yeah, one of those walk-ins came a little early in the game, but like it was. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It just wasn't consistent, and you start to watch stuff like that, and I'm telling you, even though our starting pitcher wasn't having a bad game, again, one of those runs, I'm telling you, they didn't score it an error, but it was an error in my book on LaRue. Right when you're watching it live, we were all in the press box, like literally, what is he doing? Like, essentially, it felt like a mental lapse. Like a mental lapse and a lack of, it was like, you remember how everybody jumped on Cam for not jumping on that one
in the Super Bowl?
Right. I mean, it like, which I think that was overblown, but it had that kind of energy where it just was, what was he thinking? You just let you gave a runner a free pass in the scoring position, and then he scored, and then it was tied at the end of regulation.
Yeah.
Right. And let me tell you something. I think of all the sports, the major sports, in baseball, you could argue that one thing does not affect another as much, right? Like the play before, like the batter before, like the sequence of events could still happen exactly as they happen in baseball.
Kind of
more than any other sport. I'm not saying it's absolute. I'm just saying it's
right.
more likely in baseball than other sports, right? Where, again, if that runner is not in scoring position, he doesn't.
Yeah, a base hit
he doesn't
score.
Right.
He doesn't score. Right. And you still get the next 2 guys out. He just doesn't score.
Right. Like yesterday, the 3-run homer that got surrendered, that was because we don't cover first base and then you walk a guy, right? Like 2 guys being on base is the reason why it's 3 runs and not just 1 for that home run. Right. So, yeah, if that same guy walks up there to the plate with nobody on and hits a home run, it's a very different score. Because you made the same mistakes before that put 2 runners on that were both on your part, right? Like it wasn't like somebody, oh man, that's just a really good hit. That's a really good at bat, and then he gets a base knock and gets to first base. And then, but because you make the errors before that put runners on, 3-run homer as opposed to 1. Right.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. That home run pop, like maybe just still happens.
Correct.
Or likely still happens. However, it doesn't hurt you as much. And, in football and basketball, like, again, one sequence of events changes how you play the next sequence of events. right? And baseball, it just doesn't. It's not as solid, right? You may throw, you know what I mean? Like when a hitter comes to the plate, you've done the scouting report on that player. You know how you're pitching to him. Maybe the situation changes a little bit how you pitch to him. I just felt like it just felt disappointing for the first game that I kept looking at the scoreboard like they're not going to score that in error, really. And maybe they went back and corrected it after, but by the end of the game, it still had not been scored in error. I thought it was an error on LaRue. So
the one exception I want to say though is pitchers having somebody on base does make them tighter sometimes. That's the only thing. I think it's less
pitching from the stretch as opposed to
sure.
He's less likely to give up a home run with nobody on base than he is. So I mean, to your point, it does still affect it, but I mean, of course I agree. It's pretty academic. Keep these guys off base, even if you do mess up to this guy. We're still in this game.
That underscores my point about the error, though, right? Like, I mean,
of course,
he's tighter with that guy that you let to second than he would have been if the dude was at first.
Because these aren't, to our point, these aren't the ace pitchers that we've had a couple in the last few years that no matter what, they're going to go out there and deal. But when you've coached guys up to improve over the course of the season, which Butch Thompson needs a lot of credit for doing, getting them to a point where they could pitch a decent game, but the bats are just saving us and making sure that we can get over the hump. Now, these people are in the postseason for a reason. Penn and Southern Miss, they're in the postseason for a reason. So we might have been able to stifle a few teams that weren't fantastic teams, or even a few teams in LSU and other teams in our conference that were good, but everybody has a chance to kind of wipe the slate and zero in on the postseason to be their best selves. So you needed your pitchers to not just be decent pitchers who could ride the momentum. You needed them to be the momentum. We didn't have that this year.
Yeah.
Look at you guys not want to talk about this in 27 minutes later.
I don't have any problem talking about baseball. It's disappointing, but I listen, I want to acknowledge the work that our athletes do for Auburn, right? Like I understand that football is king here and we're, big time basketball. But if we really want to be everything schools, then all of these athletes need to get their shine at some point in time. Like I'm not saying we got to do a full hour and a half on it, right? But hey, let them get.
But they hosted a regional.
I'm saying they worked their butt off.
That was a big deal. That was a big deal.
They deserve for people to talk about them, for people to acknowledge the work that they've put in, and I'm happy to talk about it, even in disappointment.
I'll say this too. Not that we have anything directly to do with this, but from an NIL standpoint, I feel it's important to make sure that the work in other sports are highlighted. For anybody who has a platform, it's really easy to focus on, the major sports. And then part of it is promoting those sports.
Yeah.
So, we had the thing that was this offseason with softball. And those girls made the tournament too. And, when they accomplish something, when you are judged to be amongst the elite at your sport in any year, when you make the postseason, I'm saying, you are the best of the best. And there are over 100 and, well over 100 D1 teams in every sport. So when you make the small percentage of teams that get to play extra games, it should be talked about and it should be celebrated. And when the sports media for any particular school glosses over that, to me, you are perpetuating the cycle that takes attention away from those sports and keeps the value for those athletes low. Agreed. Especially in terms of their NIL, like
for sure.
What's the word I'm looking for? Like their like value or whatever, right? So their market value. So talking about it increases the market value, creating excitement around those sports. And if you haven't been to an Auburn baseball game, man, I highly encourage you, go catch one next season.
Baseball is one of the easiest sports to just go and enjoy, right? Like it's stressful, but it's like a very laid back experience, right? Like you can go to a baseball game and chill, right? Like it's an energetic environment, but it ain't the same as like a football or basketball game where it just feels like people are on top of you. Like baseball's a chill, just do whatever sport. Like you can go to a baseball game at Auburn the way that we've got our situation set up and go for free and watch the game, right? Like you could just be a part of the environment and not even be in the actual stadium.
Right.
For sure. Well, listen, before we get out of here, let me grab some more comments. Justin is watching us, Georgia fan.
Hey,
Comes in
good to see you
peace. Says
back.
Auburn is about to have a good year this year, 8-4. You're wrong, Justin. That's a solid year. That's a solid year. Okay. According to old Gus, 8-4 is solid. That's not good. It's solid. All right. And I would take
a lot
that.
of fun during football season.
I would take that actually in year one for old Hugh Freeze for sure. He comes back and says that Hugh Freeze is already making an impact in year one. As I mean, we feel it, but it's also very telling to hear that from recruits as well as fans of other schools.
Yeah, let me tell you, there was a comment. We did a segment where I was with Ike, and I was essentially saying, I think that Hugh Freeze is maybe the best recruiter Auburn has had in the last 20 years.
Why did you say that?
And it got whatever, right? I mean, I thought there was a very good conversation that ensued about previous recruiting classes, the effect, we have the benefit of hindsight on those previous recruiting classes. We don't quite have that on Hugh Freeze yet, but I think the work that he's doing in recruiting points that, that statement may pan out to be more true than people think it is right now.
Yeah.
Right. If there is one thing Hugh Freeze is doing right, it's recruiting.
Right. For sure.
Now, I don't really think that's debatable. Like he understands the importance, and he's putting the effort in, and the amount of energy that this man is putting into recruiting, to the point where when we interviewed him, he looked like he had not slept and he had been on a camping trip for about a week. And then at the end of the interview, he says, I got to go talk to a recruit.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally what he said, man. I didn't feel that same energy, I think, from previous staffs. And Hugh Freeze is definitely putting in the work, at least to try to make sure he has a shot at every single athlete he can that is of high talent that may potentially be an Auburn Tiger. You have, it may sound like I'm praising him for doing something that really is ultimately his job, but man, listen, not everybody does it. Everybody takes a paycheck, but not everybody puts in the work. So I commend him for that.
For sure. He's going over and beyond. And I don't remember where I read this, but there was a story where Hugh Freeze, Bruce Pearl, and the women's basketball coach, they were somewhere, and she made mention of the fact that Hugh Freeze was just relentless on the recruiting trail. Just while they were in and out of sessions, Hugh Freeze is talking to recruits. And she was amazed at the attention to detail he has in just recruiting kids every chance he gets to speak to kids, or calls or text or whatever. So that's the coach we have at Auburn right now. And I think that's going to pay dividends in the long run. I think as time goes on, especially if he's able to maintain this level of intensity, I think your comments about him being Auburn's best recruiter will begin to become a much more clearer picture for most people.
Yeah, I understand anybody who feels like that comment may be premature. I am projecting, but I feel like already the effort that's being put in is above and beyond what we've seen. It may look a little different in the era of NIL for sure, but like ultimately he gets it, man. There was a comment that was made about Brian Hudson and his staff, and one of the errors that they made was thinking that they could out-develop the top teams in our conference. Mm-hmm. And looking back on it, you have to agree, you can't do that.
Right.
You can't get a bunch of 3-star athletes and think consistently year in and year out you're going to compete with Nick Saban and Kirby Smart and now Brian Kelly.
It works in the Mountain West.
Sure, right? Yeah, but this is a different beast, man. Like the Jimmies and the Joes, dude. If you don't have them, B has said this, right? Saban gets the luxury of not being the best on-field coach because he goes out and gets 5-star athletes every single cycle. Yeah. They have so many. This is why when people were preaching the downfall of Saban coming, I was always like, I don't know, man. He's got too many 5-stars, if you ask me, to be preying on his downfall this soon. He still has that cushion that other coaches don't have, where he can get a kid like Bryce Young, who practically comes in a young coach. Super coachable. He's going to do things on the field that you don't even have to tell him to do. And you get to spend your time coaching up other areas of the team because you don't have to put all your energy into your quarterback. And making sure he's doing it. I think that is the advantage to recruiting at a high level. You get guys who are more physically or mentally ready so that you can plan for more advanced parts of the game rather than spending all your time trying to make sure a guy is strong enough or like, you know what I mean? Things that they do instinctively, you can move on to the next level with that player. The better coaches are able to do that. And that's, I think Hugh Freeze understands that if he's going to compete, he needs more of those type of players. You know, when he was talking this offseason about the lists, here's why ending up on a list on his desk is annoying, because it takes energy away from him that he would otherwise be spending doing football things. Right. So he's telling the players, stop getting damn parking tickets. Stop parking where you're not supposed to. How hard is it to park? This is something he said specifically. I don't understand how hard it is to just not park where you're not supposed to.
I don't know, man. Like, I remember in college.
Yeah, I mean, C-Zone park.
Yeah, C-Zone was a far walk.
Yeah, I was like, well, you need to do undergrad at Auburn.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. Like, I get it.
Yeah,
it's different now, though. It's nowhere near like that no more. We got parking decks all over the place.
Yeah, for sure. And
because you'd be like, man, I'm gonna miss part of this test, or I'm just gonna get a ticket. What's the bigger trouble here?
Or towed. Or
right.
towed, because it was a tow factory when we were in college. So I mean, but I get his point. His point is he made it wrong.
His point still stands.
Yeah, right.
His point still stands.
Yeah, like, listen, please don't get parking tickets, and let's just focus, because every time something ends up on my desk, I got to deal with it. If I got to deal with it, that takes time away from football related things that I need to do to help you as an athlete. Sure. Right. And I think that in any workplace, on any team, those rules still apply. And that's what this boils down to. You're not going to outdevelop. So you need student athletes who can come in and do the things that are expected of them, mostly without being told, so that you can focus on making sure that you get the high level athletes in, and then you take that development to the next level by starting from step 4 instead of step 1 with every athlete. Right. And that's it, man. When you do you remember the story about Tebow? And they talked about like somebody telling, what's the coach's name? Urban Meyer. Right. If we don't get this guy, it will set our program back 10 years. That's what we said about Tebow. We don't get Tebow, it's going to set our program back 10 years. Now,
and then Urban Meyer set their program back 10 years, by the
way. Right. He got his chips and then deal. But like
letting Cam Newton walk out the door too.
Yeah, for sure. But the point was taken. And when you got an athlete like Tebow, you first of all, 0 behavior issues. Right? The worst thing Tebow ever did was give a cringy speech about we'll never lose another game after this. Right?
That was cringy.
It was so cringy. It was very cringy.
They didn't.
It was effective. Very effective.
Right. I promise you will never see another athlete work as hard as me. He was sincere, boy. That boy was in there with that thing. I ain't mad at you, Timmy.
Real sincere.
I'm dead.
Here is my mind. I'm so sincere.
That impersonation was on point. Oh my God. So Tebow was he was your model student athlete, right?
Yeah.
We know he wasn't distracted by girls, and he did what he was supposed to do. Hey, he said it. I can say it. He didn't have that distraction, which is currently a problem at Auburn University. So all I'm saying is you get an athlete like that, and you get to start on step 10 with a quarterback like Tim Tebow, and then you get to move your program forward. And I'm sure they had it's Florida, so they had some behavior issues on the team, right?
Sure.
It just wasn't the leader of your team.
They just ignored them. This is how that works. He did what? Don't worry about it. Let's just put it back out there.
No,
like murder.
No
people?
Lies.
Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, Hernandez.
Yeah.
Was he there under Meyer?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
yes,
yeah.
he was.
They had to have something to balance it out, right? That's what they need.
They had the Tebow, and then they had a murderer.
Right. Hey, listen. They're making a documentary about the Urban Meyer Florida days.
I can't wait to see that.
I can't wait for that. Is Netflix doing it?
Wait. I don't know what all they gonna cover. I just hope they tell the truth. That's all I'm saying.
Oh man, I'm dead.
Listen, y'all. Let's stay on target. Guys, you have been watching the first half hour of the Weekend Tailgate. Do us a favor and share this content. Great conversation, guys. Please share it on social media, Facebook,
in the comments.
Twitter. Yeah, they are. Smash that like button and subscribe if you're new to our channel. We're going to say peace out to the Facebook group, but please join us over in YouTube where we actually begin the discussion of who was the best portal pickup for Auburn football. Let's pay some bills. We'll be right back.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. Harmon Mechanical, a heating and air company offering premier service to the Auburn area and surrounding areas. Give them a call at 334-219-0717 or head over to their website at harmonmechanical.com. Let them know the War Report sent you. Harmon Mechanical. We're there when you need air. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, head over to gwt2energy.com. Thank you, as always, to the sponsors of the War Report. Thank you to those of you who have continued to support us with monthly memberships. You can come on board and become a member of the War Report and get all of this great film review. Got more coming for you this week. Make sure you're locked in. If you are a member or you become a member, you can go back and watch previous ones. So there's tons of film out there for you to watch on all things concerning this upcoming season. So make sure you lock in with that. You can gift memberships just like our guy Jazzy Joe has done already in this show. Thank you so much, Jazzy, for gifting memberships. If you would like to, and you are a member, gift a membership to somebody else in the live chat, you can do that. Just hit the little gift box button on that little reaction thing down there. And you can give a gift of the War Report 1 month free membership on you to some random YouTube subscriber who's been interacting but not currently a member. We're giving away a mug again today. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments, sponsored by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. Make sure that you get your hashtag spelling correctly. We'll do that drawing here in about 20 minutes. And we thank you to Harmon Mechanical, as always. Harmon Mechanical, make sure that you hit them up if you're in the Auburn area and you need to get your HVAC system taken a look at. HarmonMechanical.com, 334-219-0717. Harmon Mechanical is there when you need air. Let's get to the convo.
Gentlemen. We'll grab some of these real quick, these comments. AU Alum says, would love to see Ike breaking down some equestrian film. We own that.
Shout out to the equestrian team for continually, finishing in the tops in the country there. The coach for that team retired recently. So going to be a new regime heading up equestrian. I don't know the first thing about equestrian, so I'm not even going to pretend to break down equestrian film. I could do it comically. We could just go watch it and I could just go in there and be like, oh, look at the trot on this. I have no clue what's happening with equestrian. I don't know what's good, what's not. If I were to watch an equestrian meet, I would be sitting there like, oh, it looked pretty good to me. Stayed on the horse jump, good.
Then there'd be someone to be like, I don't know what he's talking about.
I know. He said Bo Nick should have.
They already tell me I don't know what I'm talking about with football and basketball. I guess I could add another sport that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
What's the harm? What's the harm?
Oh my God.
Blake Robinson says baseball is number 3 behind football and basketball in NCAA revenue generation. The College World Series gets ESPN national broadcasts like the NCAA basketball and football playoffs. So,
all the more reason why Auburn student athletes in that program deserve to get the support of the Auburn fan base.
Yeah, sure. I'm telling you. Like, listen, we keep saying everything's school, but you have to talk about it. Now, listen, they have a responsibility to do something noteworthy of talking about as well, too. I want to stress that, right? So it's hard to talk about what you're not doing. Because we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about how you suck. And so they go out and when they play and they make their respective postseasons, they deserve the support of the fans and the awareness because, it's funny how, like, was it Pat Dye that said, Alabama fans care about Alabama football. Auburn fans care about Auburn.
Yeah.
Well, like if you care about Auburn, then that encompasses everything that is Auburn. And these other even though these aren't revenue generating sports, technically, they can be if they get enough support, if you generate the excitement. Listen, you're not telling me gymnastics didn't make money. They were packing out.
Think about the Pat Summit days at Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
The current South Carolina team that Don Staley's putting out there. They are packing out arenas with women's basketball. UConn women's. Packing out arenas, not just the arena that they play home ball in. I'm talking about when they travel to your school, people show up for them. And that's not what people consider a revenue generating sport. It's all about, now, a lot of it has to do with how good the program is, right? But it don't even cost a lot of money to go watch a women's basketball game, man. Just go show up and be on your phone and cheer when everybody else start cheering. Be there. Make them feel like they have a home crowd. That don't listen, man. When we were students, that was just something we did in our off time. It's like, all right, cool. Y'all want to go check out a women's basketball game? Sure. It wasn't but 15 people in there. All right, cool. We just go walk and it don't matter to me. No, I mean, I selfishly did it because I thought a couple of the basketball players looked good. But hey, I was there. Volleyball games, I'm in there.
Yeah. Don't ask me why I showed up. I'm there.
I'm here. No.
I
had the best intentions for being here, but I'm here.
Irrelevant.
We used to hit them gymnastics beats back in the day for sure. I'm ashamed to say what we did there, but we were there, and it was one of those things where even for basketball, we joke about basketball. We went, but you could just get a basketball ticket from somebody. It was not.
That was a very easy ticket to get.
It was a very easy ticket to get. Now we're legit talking about $300 if they're playing Kentucky for the standing room only.
Right.
Yikes, man. When I see the ticket price, I've never been so happy to be credential media as when I see I was like, wow. You want to go watch an Auburn basketball team? It's one of the hottest tickets it is the hottest ticket in town is Auburn basketball. There is a waiting list for season tickets. And we're on the season ticket holder list for football. It wasn't hard to get on it. As a matter of fact, we could have bought 8 more season tickets if we wanted to.
Yeah.
You literally have to wait.
That's the pearl effect, man. That's the pearl effect.
Listen, man, Jesus will come back before you get season tickets to Auburn basketball. The Lord will come take us all home before you get a chance to get on the list. So I don't know, man. I just support all the sports. Girls, the guys, all of them, they deserve our support. And we did a interview with On the Victory. I got a chance to talk to the women's tennis coach, Coach Carolyn Lilly. Just a phenomenal person, by the way. But even her program too, she talked about how the SEC is the toughest conference in college tennis, right? And they're adding Oklahoma and Texas, who were the 1 and 2 respectives last year in the country. So that conference is getting even tougher, man. I'm telling you, if you thought it just means more was obnoxious before, wait till Oklahoma and Texas join.
Yeah.
They're making fun of us now, but boy, I'm telling you, I can't wait to go to that first media days, with Oklahoma and Texas part of the conference. Next year, it's going to be lit. Yeah. I can't wait for that. It's going to be so much fun.
For sure. Ronnie Stinson says Auburn will go 9-3. Losses to LSU, Georgia, and surprisingly
here to talk about that, but
Texas A&M. B. Will is kind of cool. He's chilling on A&M. He ain't got a lot of smoke.
It's not because of Jimothy though. It's because he believes in the new.
I know it. Their OC. He believes in the OC there. Which we'll see. We'll see if he can turn water into wine out there in College Station. Monroe says, "Who y'all winning a one-on-one? Who y'all got winning a one-on-one tournament? B. Will, C. Dub, Ike, or Mike G?
Today?
It's gonna be
one-on-one. I've seen Ike play basketball, so I'm going Ike. He may not remember.
Very out of shape though.
Yeah, no, but listen.
I remember we used to go to Columbus and play ball at the little outside court down.
Yeah, not even that. I seen you hoop in Birmingham playing pickup basketball, and I was just like, nope. Oh. He's got a little bit of a jumper on him.
I used to.
I have none.
Yeah, I have none. Hoop back in the day. I ain't. I ain't guaranteeing you no buckets right now, but
Yeah,
back in
definitely.
the day.
Oh no,
I remember we used to go to the extension and play ball.
The extension,
out behind the extension, man. And I remember the first time I dunked on somebody out there at the extension. The dude looked up and he had been talking junk all week, bro. And me and my homeboy, do y'all know Q? He's a DJ now. Anyway, my homeboy Q, we was out there hooping, and Q threw a wild shot up, like kind of over his head, and it was an air ball, but I caught it, and the dude was like trying to jump up, and I dunked it on him, and he looked up at me hanging on the rim, and dude was like, "Oh, y'all didn't tell me he could do that though." And I was like, "Yeah,
yeah."
Now I'd be lucky to like touch a rim.
Man,
I ain't got it no more. Bro.
After 3 dribbles, I'm calling 911. Right? Yeah. I'm breaking a finger trying to dribble the ball. So no, I have a high respect for athletes and what they do.
Yeah.
No, I will facilitate all day. I have 20 assists and 2 points.
We had this stupid thing where you remember the NCAA when you took control of a player and you got like an interception, it would say user pick, and it was like a big thing. We used to run around the basketball court. It just like user. It was really stupid. God, used to do some dumb stuff out there.
Yeah.
But this generation doesn't go outside. We still went outside.
Yeah.
Even as college students, we were outside.
We were still hooping outside. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
For
inside.
Sure.
We played video games and went outside.
It's the beginning of the end. Beginning again. Now they just play video games.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, guys. Let's get into let's go ahead and get the conversation started. This is what people came for. We want to know the JUCO. We had a visitor over the weekend for 2023. JUCO DB. Love this name, by the way. Love this name. Chancellor Champ Anthony. What a football name. Visited AU over the weekend. Auburn likes where they sit with him. Again, Auburn has been looking. Apparently, they do have another spot, a roster spot. So they're looking to fill that out, and we'll probably hear something shortly in the next few days. I don't consider him a portal pickup, though.
Well, still JUCO. I mean, portal.
I don't know. It's just, I'm being technical here, but what I want to ask you guys up to this point, because this is probably the last likely addition unless some people leave or whatever the case may be. Who are your top five? Top five. Who are your top 5 portal pickups in the off season? And I ask you guys who are watching as well, feel free to comment. I would love to kind of see you guys and hear your thoughts on offense, defense. Who are the most important pickups in the portal?
I'm gonna go first on this one.
Go ahead.
I think number 1 is Peyton Thorne. I think Peyton Thorne is at the top of the list. The more I learn about this kid, the more I think they got the right guy. Now there was some debate about between Thompson, and a lot of people felt like they wanted Thompson, and I was trying to say, and I think said it. We had got information that essentially said, "Listen, man, Thompson was always kind of a backup. Thorne was the dude they wanted from the jump, and now I see why they wanted him. That it was really important for them to go out and get a quarterback with the experiences that he has. We have a few interviews that we're dropping, in the coming weeks that will explain further why I think he's the number 1 get. But ultimately, this raises the floor of your the offensive side of the ball. To me, I think the run game was always going to be well above average. But having a quarterback who can come in and at the very least be the type of game manager that doesn't lose you games will be super helpful. If he takes his game to the next level, then, and this is, if anybody's listening, this is not me writing off Robbie Ashford. It's just, you are always going to need 2 guys in this room. If you're asking me today, I find it very difficult to not believe that Thorne is going to win this job in the fall, right? I can't share all the reasons why I think that, but that's where I'm at as of today, right? Thorne is likely your starter come September. And that's and because he is likely your starter at the most important position on offense, how could I go with anybody else at number 1? So, that's where I'm at about that. Second, I'm stuck between Shorter and Shane Hooks. Right? I just think that there's a lot of talent in the wide receiver currently, but they're going to add something. Like one of these guys is going to contribute significantly. Right? I think that we're going to have a significant contribution at wide receiver from a newcomer. I think it's likely to be one of those two guys. In the number 3 spot, I got Jalen McLeod at the Jack. I just feel like, hey,
that's a good one.
He's
not on my list. That's a good one.
Yeah, like, listen, man, this is an important position, and we keep talking about the Jack, and they just kept bringing in, you know what I mean, Jacks to try to solidify that position. I think Jalen McLeod has a chance to really, really be somebody who can help them. Offseason, again, I'm not just going with this second, right? I'm just saying, guys who came in. I think it's going to be Batee.
Another good one.
Batee, comes in. We saw his athleticism on display at 8A. We saw it. We saw how he was able to come in.
And he apparently was hurt, which is even more crazy.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, this guy, the players, the other running backs, and the defensive players that we've talked to directly have said, this guy's hell to tackle. And he has a chance to make an impact on special teams as well. And depending on how the season starts, based on things we don't know just yet, the team may have a bigger role in the first few games than even he had anticipated. So I think that pickup was really important. And that was for a room I already thought was solid.
Yeah.
Right. So I think Batee. And then last, but certainly not least, I'm going with Rivaldo Fairweather. The combination potentially of him and Peyton Thorne may be nasty, right? So when you look at Thorne's tape and you look at some of the throws that he makes well over the middle, and then you look at Rivaldo Fairweather's tape, if Thorne can throw him accurate balls up the seam and over the middle, that is because he's held to tackle too, right? Throw him an accurate ball and he's going to get yards after catch every single time. So my list is offense heavy, but that's only because that I feel like they have much further to go than the defense does.
Fair.
Yeah. Right. So it's not to say the defensive guys that they brought in are not important, but they had some major holes to fill on offense. And you could make a case for, anybody on offensive line. I don't know, man. It's harder to me to evaluate those guys now than it is the skill positions.
Yeah.
So
I feel like Ike. I don't even know if I'm going to go. I feel like my list will be very similar to Ike's in a lot of ways. But I'm just guessing.
No, go ahead. I want to hear what your list is.
AU alum. Before we get to that, AU alum. With you mentioning Batee, Mike, you see sweeps and dumps to Batee. Don't see him getting a ton of handoffs.
We'll see. He got handoffs today.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't agree with this because even Caddy himself said,
he
can run between the tackles.
I'm telling you, I don't know. Right? Like,
so if Caddy says it and he's a running back, I think Batee's going to get some handoffs.
Yeah, man. Don't sleep on Batee. I'm telling you, this kid has got a ton of talent, and him and Damari are amazing backups to Jarquez Hunter. Amazing. I don't even call them backups, man. They're just amazing support for Jarquez Hunter. They're
That's
good.
An impressive room, man.
Yeah, some change of pace. You got a couple change of paces in there. They do some different things well. Damari is strong and he's got a low pad level and a low center of gravity, and he's going to be held to tackle. He drives his legs well. He can get between the tackles. I don't know, man. It's running back room. Whew. It was a good pickup. I wondered when they went out and got Batee, I was like, man, is there a room for this kid in this room? There absolutely is room.
But then you got the true freshman too coming in, and people was like, he's you don't sit him on the bench. So I'm curious to see what they do.
I hope they don't need him. I hope they don't need him.
Yeah,
for sure. John Brandon, this is a good comment here. Batia is going to wear out defenses in the third quarters. Maybe. I mean, again, that's the beauty of having depth, right? Is that you can continue to just, if you got the O line, you can just lean on the defense and wear them out. So
just pound them.
So let's see that. I'm going to wait. Wait. Let's get to the drawing.
Okay.
We're giving away. What are we giving away?
Mug.
A mug. Yeah.
Giving away a mug, courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. Guys, you already know what to do. Drop that hashtag if you haven't already. It's too late because Ike's drawing right now.
Boom. Let's get to it, man. Somebody's got to win a mug. GWT2 Energy Consulting Services sponsoring a mug giveaway to Beast Mode Stores.
Beast Mode, let us know if you're here, sir, so we can give you your instructions on how to get that mug. You've been watching. You already know what to do, I would imagine, but we need you to let us know that you are here for sure. All right. So my list is as follows. I agree. I got Thorne number 1. Thorne is number 1. I don't have to I think Mike has listed a lot of the reasons why. Number 2, Dylan Wade. Dylan Wade is important. That's your tackle. That's your blind spot there. Knows the system. I mean, he's played in this offense. He knows what is expected. He can hit the ground running in this offense. I think that's a very important pickup for Thorne's blind side. Number 3, Jalen McLeod. So I had McLeod on my list, probably in the same where you had him, Mike, number 3. Number 4, Avery Jones. We've seen what has happened when you don't have a guy at center. It looks like Auburn's got a good one here in Avery Jones. I think that was a very important pickup. Number 5, I've been going back and forth between 3 guys here for this role for number 5. I'm going to go with Jair Shorter here, just because he is the prototypical receiver. He can take the top off of a defense. That's one of the things that Hugh Freeze is looking for in a receiver on the outside with the frame, the catch radius. We've seen what this kid can do at North Texas. I expect him to kind of pick up where he left off, hopefully at Auburn. I expect him to be a definite threat as one of the new additions. Again, I really do like Rivaldo Fairweather for sure. And yes, watching some film of Thorne, there's a lot of seam routes, guys in the middle that he was hitting. That's Fairweather all day for sure. But I think Hugh wants and Montgomery wants to take the top off of defenses as well. And although we have Javarius Johnson, we need another guy on the end who can be able to do that. I think Shorter's your guy. I think he factors in as an important piece of the receiving core. So that's my 5. Who you got, Ike?
I like it.
We got a couple of similarities. You can't underscore the importance of the quarterback position. So I'm definitely these aren't necessarily in my order, but I will say top 5, Peyton Thorne is going to be there. My number 2 actually is Avery Jones, just because I think the importance of having a solid center of your offensive line is going to be it's invaluable. I don't know. I mean, even though I think that we had some good options at center, I don't know that we had a true center, and he's played a lot of center in his career already. I'm going to go with Avery Jones as my number 2.
Number 2, okay.
My number 3 on my list of top 5, and I'm saying this mostly because of it being a position of need for Auburn. And that is going to be Austin Keys, actually, in my top 5. Austin Keys, because
that's a good one.
I just don't know that in the linebacker room. I think we have some very good linebackers. I think they're going to be rotating guys in and out there, but guy who's played SEC snaps and is coming in probably with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, feeling like he got overlooked in the last position group room that he was in at Ole Miss. I think is going to be a guy that's going to be an anchor for that defense in the middle. And again, we know how it is when your middle linebacker isn't playing up to snuff, how anemic that defense can be. So I think Austin Keys is a big pickup. My last 2 spots are guys that have been mentioned already. Rivaldo Fairweather. I think, at the tight end position. Not that the tight end room was lacking in anything. I just think that he provides a little something different than any of the guys that we had in that room prior to. And then lastly, I'll have to echo the sentiments of, just because, again, this has just been traditionally a place where I feel like Auburn has under-recruited. Dylan Wade at your tackle is going to be my fifth guy that's going to go there. So, again, some guys that you guys had already mentioned too that weren't mentioned, but if those, I'd have to put those five out there. And that's not even saying I think that those five will be the biggest producers on the team, right? I just think for positions that we needed to fill people in, and then positions that are so important to what you're going to be doing both offensively and defensively, for them to get pickups in rooms that we felt thin in, right? We felt thin. We knew that TJ Finley wasn't going to be here, regardless of whether or not people felt like he was going to start. You knew he wasn't going to be here. So you knew you were going to have attrition there. You didn't know what you were going to get from Holden or from Robbie, right? You had thoughts of maybe what you could get. You kind of know what you're getting with Peyton Thorne walking in the door. He's had enough starts in Power 5 football. You know what you're getting day one from him. It's just about whether or not he can get it in continuity's sake with the offensive line and with new receivers. But his talent floor and ceiling is pretty well defined out there. You get a good running game, he can be a really great play action passer, and he can command an offense. He's going to have enough temperament to play in big games. Like, you're getting all of those things day one walking the door. You don't have to guess. With Holden, it's a guess. You don't know, right? You see the arm talent, you see the temperament, but how well is that going to happen behind an offensive line that may not be the best? You know what you get that with Peyton Thorne. You saw it last year at Michigan State, right? Like, you have all the data necessary to be able to project forward with him. You don't have that with Holden. You don't have a healthy sample size with Robbie, right? So at your most important offensive position, not knowing what you have there and trying to build upon uncertainty, very difficult.
Right.
So you insert some certainty there, and then you have a competition going into the fall that allows you to say, at worst, we're here, right? Again, we talk about the talent floor all the time. Thorne exponentially increases that talent floor. Like, I don't know another way to say that, and not like, it sounds like I'm being a little, over the top with that. No, the talent floor is much higher. You can say, at worst, we can throw this guy in here and we're going to get that. Now, the ceiling, you still have an amazing ceiling that exists out there, right? Because if Robbie Ashford can put it all together, you just can't reproduce that.
Right.
Yeah.
But your talent floor, at worst, you have experienced Power 5 arm that has shown that he can throw for over 3,000, right? Like, you get all of that day one walking in.
Those numbers would be prolific here.
Correct.
Right? Like, Auburn doesn't have 3,000-yard passers.
Yeah. So
Well,
again, just walking in the door, you're bringing 3,000.
Anything close to 3,000,
yeah,
puts you in contention. I mean, Bo, before he got hurt, I think was on pace to beat 3,000 yards easily.
Right.
In Brian Harson's first season. Am I wrong?
No,
there?
I think that's fact.
I think he when he got hurt, he was already at 2,800, and we're not arguing. It was clearly the best season of his career to that point.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
So, I mean, it was. So you bring somebody in who can do that, and look, they were in contention all the way until November.
And I think for Thorne too. Thorne. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying they were talking about Brian Harsin as potential SEC Coach of the Year.
Right.
Yeah.
Through 6 games.
6-2.
So, excuse me, 8 games. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. 6-2 going into that stretch that where it all fell apart, obviously. But I mean, if Thorne brings that same deal, like, Auburn will be okay. I think they'll be okay. Or if Robbie does it. And he doesn't have to, because he can run, he doesn't have to throw for 3,000 yards.
Correct.
Right. If he runs for 800 and throws for 2,400, nobody's going to be complaining.
Right. But see, here's the thing. This is why. Well, actually, no. See, you were trying to interject a point. I'll come back.
No, what I was going to say is, I think with Thorne too, what helped Thorne was a good running game that year.
For sure.
And again, we have a good running back room to assist him. Like, he had Kenneth Walker that year. Mm-hmm. And I think that took the pressure off of him. And I think that's one of the reasons why he kind of struggled last year, is he had to carry the weight of that offense on his shoulders. I don't know if Hugh Freeze and Montgomery are asking him to do that here.
They're not.
So that means he can get a quiet 2,800. And can you imagine what a QB throwing for that much would do for our offense, given what we have already in place?
Right. Yeah.
So
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I again, it makes me excited about the potential and the ceiling for this offense, the improvement that we are likely to see with this offense. But you had a point, Mike.
Yeah, what I was going to say is the other reason why I think Peyton Thorne is important, and we talked about this during the Hudson era, and we've talked to Coach Freeze about his necessity going forward after this year, as far as what the product on the field is relative to how you recruit for what you want to do. And Peyton Thorne gives him a guy that's more in the prototype of what he wants his quarterbacks to be. So here's the thing. Robbie Ashfords don't grow on trees, right? Like guys that play quarterback that run that fast just aren't, and he's a baseball player. So he's got a live arm, right? So like, that's just not a guy who can play quarterback that has that level of athleticism. You don't just find those everywhere, right? So if you're, and again, I know we're not supposed to crap on Gus Malzahn, but if your offense is predicated on finding a one-of-a-kind athlete at quarterback, then you're going to have down years where your offense doesn't function at high caliber,
I'm telling you. Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
But conversely, there are a lot more, and people get upset at this terminology, and Mike G and I just had a conversation about the terminology of game manager, right? There are a lot more game managers that exist out there in the universe than there are one-of-a-kind athletes at quarterback. Right? There's a lot more of those. Like, there aren't Heisman caliber quarterbacks walking around everywhere, but there's a whole bunch of guys who can be okay and just make the right decisions, check down if you want to, make the pre-snap reads. There's way more of those. Now, that guy with high level IQ with, rocket arm, right? Like those are kind of a little bit more into the anomalous category, but there's a good amount of Peyton Thornes walking around out there in the universe. Casey Thompson actually is Peyton Thornish, right? If he could stay healthy, they're in the same universe of quarterback, right? Like there's more of those guys walking around. Hank Brown is actually in that same universe. Well, we will have probably 3 guys on our roster next year if Holden stays here. Walker White is coming in, and Hank Brown is here. We'll have 3 guys that are in the mold of Peyton Thorne on campus next year, right? There's still only one Robbie Ashford, though. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying that there's more of those that exist than there are Robbies in the world. My point in that is that if you can show that this offense works with Peyton Thorne, it makes it easier to recruit wide receivers, because I don't have to have Robbies. Like, they don't have to go try to find another Robbie to make the offense work to show a product that makes sense, right?
But if you get one.
Right. If you get one, it's crazy.
If you get one, it's nuts. But he's got to be able to do, all the things that Peyton can do.
Correct.
In addition to being a dynamic athlete.
Right.
That's where it works. Like the floor for passing has to be higher for Robbie Ashford if he expects to win the starting job. He's not going to be out. He's not going to be able to go out there and be an athlete at quarterback in Hugh Freeze's offense, right? Because too many parts, in my opinion, too many parts of the offense don't work if you have to play football that way.
Right.
It's going to be really difficult. I think it's going to be really difficult for them to adapt what they want to do to the fact that the quarterback may not be accurate on short to intermediate passes or consistent on throws, or maybe he's completing passes, but they're consistently behind, receivers. That's something that we maligned the previous quarterbacks for.
Yep.
Technically, it was a complete pass, but it was a bad throw.
Right.
He's not going to be able to do that and stay out there.
Right.
So, unless the guy who is coming in after you is that much worse at it. But I don't think that that's the case. That's why you go out and you get Peyton Thorne, because he seemingly raises the floor in that area. So now that the floor is no longer down here, it's up here. Well, guess what everybody else has to do?
Raise their floor. Or
they've got to raise their floor, or they're not going to play.
Yeah.
Right. So, this is why he's number 1 on my list. I think that his presence changes the entire complexion of what you want to do and what you will do, as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah.
So Auburn wins from bringing him in, no matter whether Robbie Ashford raises his game or Peyton Thorne raises his even higher.
Correct.
Right. And then the receivers will definitely love that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And again, I have definitely some honorable mentions for sure. Some guys
there
I
are other
couldn't
guys
like,
that I could definitely mention on this list.
Yeah, like Justin Rogers. You got Messiah Nasili Kite. These are guys who I expect to actually contribute this upcoming season. But of course, this is what makes it fun when you mention just top 5 alone. Who do you think's really going to be contributing to this team? They've overloaded the roster pretty heavily, man. So I'm excited about these guys and what they're going to do. I hope they stay healthy, though. That's the only thing, is that they stay healthy, because you hate to see the potential on the sideline. Let's get to some of the comments here. We got a challenge. Let's go ahead and grab the challenge real quick. Our man Jazzy has a challenge for us, guys.
Yeah. Welcome to another Jazzy Challenge.
Good to have you here with us, Jazzy. He says, location challenge. Where am I for 100? 50 for the state that borders. Now, he was in California. Was it last week?
Yeah.
So I don't know if y'all know, but Jazzy and the wifey have a TikTok. And their TikTok has 72,000 followers documenting their travels around the country.
Mike had to cheat. Yes.
So,
Chico.
I ain't learning shit right now from their TikTok, but I thought I'd let everybody know about it.
I'm still shout it out.
Right. It's called Cassie and Joe Team Truckers. Go follow them on TikTok. So
nice.
I'm gonna go with West Virginia.
So he's already across country now.
Yeah, I'll go with West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yeah. Maybe they slept a long time.
I'm going to say Texas.
Okay, we're going the other direction there.
I was going to say Oklahoma.
Okay, there we go. B will not be here, doesn't give us a fourth guess, man. Golly.
I know. I was probably going to say Cali if just say you put an Okie just been hanging out in Cali. All right. Let's let us know what we got over there. I'm gonna grab some more comments there. Daniel Moultrie says his is Thorne, Dylan Wade, Avery Jones, Shane Hooks, and then the transfer edge from UK. I don't know what that is. Transfer edge from UK.
I mean, Justin Rogers came
Justin
from
Rogers
Kentucky,
is an edge.
but he's not edge. Yeah.
So
maybe, curious. Yeah. Let us know who you're referring to, Daniel, on that fifth guy there. Martin says Nixon. Okay. Nixon's a pretty good one. Hooks, Thorne, and O-line.
All the offensive.
Just pick an O-line, man. It was great. It was great. All right, I hear you on that one. Steve Bradley says Thorne, Hooks, Petit, Fairweather, and Avery Jones. Not bad. I like it. Ronnie Stinson says Thorne, Wade, Jones, Nixon, and McLeod.
Dylan Wade is a good one. Cole Kubelik is all about Dylan Wade, man. Every time we talk to him, he's like Dylan Wade. So
I've heard.
Watch out for Dylan Wade.
Yeah, for sure. Nixon, I'm excited about the Nixon pickup as well. I think it's a good chance. That Nixon starts.
You think so?
I think it's a good chance that he starts. I really do. I really do. I'm excited about him as a pickup. Like, again, he's another honorable mention from me, but we'll see. I feel I'm excited about the linebacker room. I want to hear some good things about the linebacker room because the guys we had already on campus were talented. But I think bringing more talented linebackers in, one of your mentions, Ike, for sure, coming in who's pretty much going to be the anchor there. Austin Keys, that was big.
Yeah.
I think Tolan is going to need some years to develop. And Daniel is talking about Rogers there. So not an edge, but the lineman, D lineman there.
Cool.
Yeah, I think Nixon. I'm excited about Nixon for sure. So I'm curious to see what he does. Beast Mode says, I'll pass. He already has one. You want to draw now, Ike?
Yeah, might as well. We can keep talking. We'll draw again. Beast Mode says, hit it again. We shall hit it again. Somebody got to win. John Brannon, look at that.
John, do you have a mug? I think you have a mug already, John.
We'll see.
All right.
Okay. Let us know, John. Let us know, John. All right. Brad Browning says, y'all convinced me my five are Thorne, Fairweather, Burton. McLeod,
Burton is an interesting
and
one.
Jones.
Yeah. Like, listen, I mean, it's hard for me with these kids that have not played.
Yeah.
Like, right. I mean, he went to Ohio State. He has not played. I don't think he's got any stats. Right.
No.
So, but that doesn't mean that he won't have an impact, or, you know, it's hard for me to pick a guy like that over some of the other guys who we have tape on. Yeah.
It's like recruiting a freshman.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, it doesn't feel like a portal pickup.
Right.
He's not guaranteed a spot. It's not like he's coming in at like quarterback or something. You know, it's just, but I don't know. But Burton was on my mind.
I'm excited about his ceiling more so than anything. I'm not expecting a lot out of him in year one because I look at who you have as your slot guys already who I think will be contributing. I think that's why I leave Burton off of my list. Not that he's not talented, but I'm like, goodness gracious. Like you already seen the production in Johnson. You've seen Jay Fair is promising. So
everybody who I listed, I don't believe plays more than one season with Auburn, right? I think they're coming in, they're going to make impact this season at a position of need. I don't think Burton couldn't, leave and only have one season at Auburn. But two, I don't know that he's beating out anybody that's already there in the slot in front of him. So I just don't know where his snaps come from to contribute immediately. And listen, if he comes out and proves me wrong, then great, because that means that we're getting better than VAR and Jay Fair. And I think both of those guys are tremendously talented.
Right. I agree 100%. And that's pretty much what we're speaking to with Lenico here, is that not sleeping on him. I'm excited about him in the future. I'm just not sure if he's the present right now. Again, we could be wrong. He could be out of this world. And to me, that just makes it even easier for Hugh Freeze and company to go out and recruit these kids because they're noticing the talent. Mike, you remember when we interviewed Courtney Taylor and he was talking about a guy who was in Caleb Burton's class, Emeka Ibuka?
Oh, yeah, Emeka Ibuka.
And
we've heard his name recently, haven't we?
And they ended up in the same wide receiver room up in Ohio State.
Right? Yes.
It's crazy. Ohio State wide receiver room.
That story
and how we fumbled that. But it is, even if we were all over him, I mean, Ohio State has just had the reputation for receivers.
Yeah, they've been recruiting very well at that position.
And they've been producing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of the thought behind, when Coy Moore decided to come here. It was like, all right, well, I mean, they've been churning receivers out of that program the last 6 or 7 years, like nothing. Like literally, it's like they got a receiver factory coming out of LSU. So it's not a stretch to think that the second guy, in that room could be, one of the second stringers could come to Auburn and play and start. Yeah, it's just not a stretch. So, yeah, I mean, like, listen, Joe Burrow was third in somebody's quarterback room at some point. He was the third guy. And sometimes when you just have a bunch of talent, you got a bunch of talent.
Right.
So we'll see what they can do with him.
So we're leaving the door open for him to take the starting spot. I'm just saying, not sure if it's as likely as we think it will be. Jazzy Joe says New Mexico. Ike borders it.
Ah, man, I got okie doked. They were posting TikToks of prairie dogs in West Virginia yesterday.
Threw you off.
Yeah.
Threw
got
you
the
off.
okie doke.
Matt K says we need more T-shirts. We all have mugs. All of us. Everyone.
Everybody's got a mug. We have 10,000 subscribers, and all of them have mugs. My inventory sheet says differently, Matt, but okay.
Oh, man. All right. We hear you, though. T-shirt on the next broadcast.
Speaking of T-shirts, I haven't said anything about it, but you know what I'm saying.
What's that? I saw that.
Home. Oh, okay. I like that. I see what you did there.
That's coming to the store soon. Maybe I'll give one of those away Wednesday. Those aren't even for sale yet. I am flexing a little bit in a design that I haven't even put on for sale, but you know, it is what it is.
All right.
You ready?
So we got to draw again, in other words, because John Brandon says toss it back. So
all right. Run it one more time. Man, if you hung around.
Yeah. Yes, your odds are getting better and better.
This is your third chance to win one.
Monroe. I know I don't see that name win often, so there we go.
Monroe, are you still here, sir? Please be here. Are you here? Let us know. Guys, any other thoughts on this list? Any other thoughts on just the portal, just the transfer portal, and just what up? He's here. He's here.
That's our guy.
Do us a favor, sir. Congratulations, by the way. Email us business@thewar report. We need your physical address, name. That mug will be coming your way.
He said, I'm here and I want it. He's like, let me make it clear. I don't have one.
There's no confusion. There's no confusion. All right, sir. Congrats to you. Any closing thoughts, guys, on just this overhaul of talent and just the restructuring of this roster?
Yeah, listen, man. Hugh Freeze went out and did the job. In my opinion, he brought in the best portal class in the country by the averages, right? You know, so there was some guy out there who brought in like twice as many portal athletes because he had to replace half his team. But yeah, I thought they were very intentional. I thought they were very deliberate. I think they got who they wanted for the most part. They had some misses, sure, but man, who doesn't? You know, they didn't get everybody they wanted, but you know, they're out there competing against some programs who have more to show than Auburn does right now. And hopefully in the future, they can show those athletes more and get their fair share. I still believe that the way to build a consistently good program is through high school recruiting. I think your game changers, your program guys are going to come from high school into your program. You're going to develop them. You're going to create a pipeline, and you're not going to need to go to the portal most of the time to look for a quarterback or, you know what I mean, a number one running back. Those are guys that you need to be producing, not finding, right? Like you're not, you know what I mean? You're not going to the grocery store to pick up, you know, some tomatoes. These are tomatoes that you grow in your backyard. They're your tomatoes. So to me, I just feel like he's doing what he's got to do for year one. And I don't think people should gloss over the job that it takes to get the type of talent that he's gotten into the program. It's hard. Convincing these young, impressionable minds to just like choose you and stick with that decision, man, it's hard.
Yeah.
They've got other people in their ear. They've got, you know, they're on social media. They're hearing from their friends, their family. Everybody has an opinion about where they should go and where's the best place for them to play football.
Yeah.
They have to listen to all of that and then hear your voice clearly through all that noise and say, Auburn is where I want to be. Convincing a kid to come to literally turn his life over to you is hard. And it should be, because it's a big decision for them. Hugh Freeze is putting in the work to get more kids to make that decision and to make it an easy decision for them. Committing to Saban is not a hard decision for most kids. I know if I go there, I'm going to get developed, and if I play well, I'm going to play. If you're the best guy, you're going to play there. Yeah. And I think that Auburn has to be that sort of place where it's just like, you know, hey, listen, there's a ton of competition going on, but that's still the place I want to be because they are putting guys in the league, and my belief in self is supreme. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to win the job, and I'm going to be the next great running back or wide receiver or quarterback or offensive lineman to come out of that program and go on to the next level and achieve great things. So that's what hopefully we're seeing the beginning of.
Yeah.
Right. This is year one. This is the first off season of it. And hopefully there are many more off seasons to come where we are going. Next month, we're going to be at Media Days. And we're going to ask some questions. You know, I encourage you guys, add us on Twitter, me and Ike, or at the War Report. And, you know, let us know what you want to hear from Hugh Freeze at Media Days.
Yeah.
Tell us what you guys want to hear from the coach. You know, we'll have multiple opportunities to ask him questions on national television, and we'll try to get you guys' questions in. So, you know, I know what I want to hear from him. You know, but we want to know what you guys want to hear from him as well, too, to get some indication of how he plans to keep this program moving the right direction. So,
For sure.
we'll see how it turns out.
For sure. Jazzy says, Mike, the Prairie Dogs were in Wyoming.
Not West Virginia. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a Y, not a V. It threw me off. See, that's what I get for trying to cheat.
Yeah.
Follow their TikTok, man. I'm telling you.
You hear that, ladies? Mike G is not a good cheater.
That's one way to spin it.
That doesn't. Yeah, that still doesn't mean he won't.
Yeah, it just means I get caught.
Wait. Okay. All right.
You gonna catch him every time.
Oh man. Man.
I will say that's probably true. I don't have cheaters' habits. I'm too routine. I'm too. As soon as I break routine, you gonna know. You're like, oh,
right. Oh, I'm wrong. Kyle Sweat says he has JT, Thorne, D Wade. I like that. He's the new D Wade. Fairweather, Hollywood Hooks, and Gunner.
Gunner, okay. Gunner Britton.
That's the first time I've heard Gunner's name mentioned. So okay. Alex Thickpen says scared the transfers will scare high school recruits.
So I don't know. So this is why I had been stressing a lot with the transfers, why it was important for positions that were of need, but you already had a lot of guys in the room, specifically in the wide receiver room, that you didn't get a lot of guys with a lot of eligibility left, because you wanted to make sure that you still had room to bring in freshmen behind them in the high school recruiting, right? So why a guy like Hooks or you know, what's the other kid's name? Somebody help me because my brain is farting right now. The other wide receiver that we just got in, Hollywood.
Talking about Hooks.
So Shorter and Hooks. Why Shorter and Hooks makes sense is because they don't have a lot of eligibility. So you can still bring in a freshman, and that freshman feels like, okay, this guy's not going to be here a long time. It doesn't hurt your recruiting for up and coming wide receivers. Same thing with Rivaldo Fairweather, right? Like even though you feel like, okay, he's going to come in and he's going to start this year, I can still be in this room next year and compete because Fairweather's likely not going to be here. Same thing with Thorne, right? Thorne might play an additional year, but if they have the year that they want him to have, he's not going to be here next year. So he doesn't threaten your room as far as what his eligibility left is. All of these offensive linemen that we talked about, those guys are seniors, right? So they're going to come in, they're going to impact your team for a year, but the recruits that you bring in behind them, which is why it was important for the staff to bring in a stellar freshman class so that they have a year to develop those guys in Connor Liu and Joyner, et cetera, right? All of those things are important. So your transfers having limited eligibility allow you to put a better proof of concept out there on the field early, but still don't threaten your ability to recruit out of high school.
Yeah, I think for a good example of this is Auburn was recruiting a kid. I can't think of his name, guys. I think he may be out of the Clay Chalkville area, and I think it's between us and Florida, but he's like a slot receiver. Shavers, I believe is his name. I believe his name is Shavers. But he's kind of a speedy guy, but getting Burton would perhaps hurt you with him coming in behind Burton because they're basically almost right there with each other. Yeah.
As far as eligibility stuff. Yeah.
So
but they're different types of receivers though, right? Like Burton's not a burner, right? He's more of a route runner guy. So they can still sell them on different roles. You see what I'm saying? Like it's not duplication of type.
No, he'll be a slot though.
Yeah.
He will definitely be a slot for sure. But again, to your point, but I think those are the types of portal pickups you have to be concerned about when those kids have almost as much as eligibility as the kid in high school that you're
Correct.
recruiting. That's when
Correct.
it becomes a bit of a problem and
Yep.
a concern. So, good talk, gentlemen. Good talk. Glad you was able to hang out with us guys for this latest episode. Ike, tell the folks what they need to be doing, sir.
You need to come on, become a member. Again, thank you for those of you who have done this already. We appreciate each and every one of you. Even if you can't become a member, listen, we stress membership here. Subscribing for free is amazing. And you guys just showing up every single show is amazing to us. So we appreciate all of you, but we definitely appreciate our members because they've given us a financial contribution that helps us to continue to give you stuff in the middle of the week, right? So that Mike and I don't have to be going to a job, throughout the entirety of the week. We can continue to give you guys morning drops and weekly film reviews, right? Membership gifting, you guys have done an amazing job with this. Again, shout out to Jazzy for earlier doing that. Big Gap as well came in with a couple of gifted memberships. We appreciate those who continue to gift memberships out there in the community of the War Rapport. If you want to listen to us in audio format, the Auburn Express, powered by the War Rapport, is where you could do that. Tomorrow morning, we should have another Amen Corner dropping out there. So that's an audio only conversation. Our guy, Podcast P, Paul Meharry, is back with us tomorrow. A very spirited conversation for you guys to check out. We got into this random debate, myself and Kenny, about LeBron and Jordan before we got off the air. That was completely off the rails. So I'm looking. I need to go back and re-listen to that tomorrow because
I got to listen to that one now.
I feel like I was yelling a lot because I was being very passionate in my defense. So I'm like, I need to. But see, that's like they have become like brothers to me. Like I haven't known them as long, but I can argue with them, and then we get off of the air, and everything's cool. So I love it. Hit the merch store up if you haven't already. If you are not Matt Kagan, you don't have a mug already, and you want to go purchase one, you could do that from there. But we got a lot of other things available for you out there. So make sure you guys hit the merch store and support us in that way, and we appreciate all of that.
Thanks again for watching with us, guys. Help people find our content. If you enjoyed this content, share this on social media, Facebook, Twitter. Use the hashtag, even at us, so that we can see you sharing our content. Yeah. Smash that like button, guys, and subscribe to those of you who just found us. Welcome, by the way. I mentioned social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, but we're also on Instagram at The War Rapport. And for TikTok, we're at TW Rapport. That's it for now, guys, but we will be back tomorrow with the morning drop. I could be there. B. Will should be there. Hopefully you're there as well. We'll definitely chop it up then. But until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.